everybody, it's the Law Gnome, and welcome back to the Great Film Throwback Project. We are now up to Round 1, Part 3. I'm actually really glad that I decided to do this around now, because now that I'm all enveloped in the craziness of the NCAA college basketball tournament known in the United States as March Madness, the whole thing with movies going against each other and getting eliminated and going on to a next round is very much in the basketball vibes, just really making me more excited, and I'm really enjoying doing this project, and I'm really hoping that all of you that have been participating have been enjoying it too. So, of course, what are we going to do today? We're going to announce 10 movies once more that I want to see. You guys will hear all 10 of these picks, and then you are going to give me your top 3 from those picks, and then you're going to give me 3 from your own personal libraries. They can be cult classics, they can be Oscar-worthy pictures, they can just be a movie that you know and love. But of course, before we go through that, we have to do a couple of shout-outs. So the first person that I want to talk about is a really good person who I know, Rosefire, and I want to give her a shout out and talk to her about the picks from Round 1, Part 1. She just didn't have the ability to get it out soon enough, and then go into Round 1, Part 2. She had also picked, for her own personal choices, she picked A Clockwork Orange, Some Like It Hot, and Metropolis, a very famous black and white classic sci-fi film. I have never seen Metropolis, but I know all about it, and I would love to see it one of these days. A Clockwork Orange, I just wanted to let you know that I did in fact put that on my list of 50 films, and I will be announcing it somewhere down the line. Some Like It Hot is one of my all-time favorite comedies. I own a copy of it. Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, Marilyn Monroe. It's one of the most ingenious comedies ever written. I think the AFI called it the greatest comedy ever made. Billy Wilder is the director, one of my all-time favorites. I don't even need to put it in my list. But it's definitely one of those movies I haven't seen in quite some time, and I definitely want to. And even though this movie did not make the cut from Round 1, Part 1, I did in fact find Dr. Strangelove on Netflix, and I actually added it to my list. And Rosefire didn't give me any of her personal picks for Round 1, Part 2, so that just makes my job just a teensy little easier. Another person who got to me a little bit late and didn't manage to throw in her own thoughts in regards to my first 10 films that I announced and her own personal picks was a good friend of mine who constantly sends me messages and comments. TeenofLittleHollow. She jumped in this past round, and she did give me her picks, and I have to say to her, thank you so much, because one of your own personal picks, which was Run, Lola Run, is officially knocking out another movie from my 50 that I'd chosen, and it was The Greatest Show on Earth. And I completely forgot about Run, Lola Run. It's apparently a huge cult classic in American film culture, even though it is a foreign film, and I am really looking forward to seeing if this movie will in fact make the final 12, and I'm really hoping that I do get to see it, because it's supposed to be a very interesting, very original story, and I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, we also have a couple of the usuals. Be Kind Rewind once again gave me his thoughts and gave me his personal picks. I wanted to let you know, sir, that one of the movies that you did talk about was In the Heat of the Night. That's a movie that's on the top 50 that I've chosen, and I'm hoping that that's going to be one that I see. I heard it's one of Sidney Poitier's greatest. And Zodiac is a movie that I've heard really mixed things about, so I really don't know if and when I will see it, but I was interested in it when I first heard about it, but then so many people were just not saying good things about it. But I've seen a lot of your videos. You say that it's a very underrated film, so who knows, maybe I'll get around to it soon. Dr. Hasline, of course, I appreciate your thoughts, and one of the movies that I do intend to see one of these days is The Summer of Sam. I had heard very interesting things about it, mostly mixed reviews, but The Fog of War and The Caine Mutiny are other 2 films that I've heard about. I definitely would like to see those, and I don't know when I'll get around to them, but definitely good picks. I appreciate that. Once again, my friend, you never told me if I got your name right. Luca Rosfe, thank you for your picks, and I want to let you know, based on your own personal choices, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is another one of the top 50 that I have chosen, so thank you so much for that. Glad to see that we're on the same page. Very interested in seeing that movie. And you did also talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I have to tell you the truth, I did not like that movie at all. I thought it was one of the most boring movies that I have ever seen in my life. Yes, so many people say that it's a science fiction revolutionary film, and I just couldn't stand it. And honestly, I'm not a big Stanley Kubrick fan, and yet a whole bunch of the movies that I've picked for my 50 are in fact from Stanley Kubrick. So eventually I'm going to have to get around to seeing a couple more of his films, but so far every Kubrick film that I have seen, I have not enjoyed in the slightest. But I'm hoping that maybe A Clockwork Orange, or who knows, I can't remember all the other Kubrick films that I picked at this point, if they do in fact become movies that I end up seeing next year, I am hoping that my tone will change. And of course, Mermal Madness, the notorious Mr. Beagle. I'm so glad that you appreciated Dr. Hasline's picking of Throw Mama from the Train, and 2 of the movies that you picked this time around are 2 movies that are actually on the list. Full Metal Jacket, a Kubrick film obviously, and North by Northwest by Hitchcock are on my list, so if you like it compared to the other ones that I will announce in the mix, then just, vote for it, and hopefully it will make the cut. And I also really do appreciate your thoughts on MASH. I mean, I still would like to see it, especially considering that it was the movie that created the television show, so one of these days. But anyway, guys, before I go into the next 10 films in Round 1, Part 3, I want to tell you guys which of the last 10 are moving on, and that's 5 of them. And they are Apocalypse Now, It's a Wonderful Life, Taxi Driver, 12 Angry Men, and Planet of the Apes. Those are the ones that actually showed up the most in regards to the 3 that everybody was picking, and at one point in time I was going to basically do a coin flip between 12 Angry Men, Ben-Hur, and The Natural. So 12 Angry Men beat it out. Let's see how many of these 5 are going to go to Round 3. But for now, we still have to get to Round 2. Here are the next 10 films for the Great Film Throwback Project. Dances with Wolves, 1990, Casablanca, 1943, Chariots of Fire, 1981, Network, 1976, The Artist, 2012, Run Lola Run, 1998, Fritz the Cat, 1972, North by Northwest, 1959, Midnight Cowboy, 1969, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. Those are your 10 for this week, guys. Post your top 3 from these 10, and of course, throw in 3 more of your own personal picks. I am absolutely loving all of this. I'm adding and thinking about all of these movies that you guys are suggesting to me every single day. So, get your votes in, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Round 1, Part 4. Actions speak louder than words.